Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathsala. I'm Dr. Hariman from Center for Medical Biotechnology, Maharishi Dayanand University, Rohtak, Haryana. Today we are going to discuss module Superbugs Problem of Modern World under paper Animal Cell Biotechnology. The objectives of this lecture is to know what are superbugs, how they evolved, and what is the mechanism of their genesis, and most importantly the strategies which can be used for preventing the superbug formation. No therapeutic drug has captured public imagination in a way that penicillin did during World War II. Although it was Alexander Fleming who discovered penicillin by serendipity in 1928, but its large-scale synthesis and use for treatment was initiated by work of Florey and Chain. For this wonderful discovery, Alexander Fleming, Florey and Chain were awarded with Nobel Prize in 1945 in Physiology and Medicine. During the acceptance speech, Alexander Fleming has warned the world that inappropriate use of penicillin might result in development of resistance against the antibiotic. And it happened very soon. Within 10 years, the bacteria which were resistant to penicillin could be isolated, although it was not due to any mutation but presence of naturally occurring plasmid in Staphylococcus aureus, which resulted in secretion of beta-lactamase. These beta-lactamase enzyme cause breakdown in the beta-lactam ring of penicillin, and that breakdown resulted in effectiveness of the antibiotic. Sooner, newer antibiotics were discovered, but it became a custom that every 10 years after a new antibiotic was discovered, resistance start appearing. And latest in 2010, NDM1 was discovered in India, Pakistan and UK. So this NDM1 was bacteria which contains multiple drug resistance gene and was resistant to most of the existing antibiotic. So this bacteria was termed as superbug. Although it appears like a science fiction movie, but it is reality. Yes, it is reality. And specifically, if you want to define it, superbug are the bacteria which are resistant to more than two type of antibiotics. So they are posing a great threat to humanity and mankind, and they must be uh, treated timely. Superbugs are making headlines nowadays. Recently in 2017, an American woman was killed by superbug for which no antibiotic was available with physician. A study claims that drug-resistant infections will kill an extra 10 million people as compared to the cancer killing currently by 2050 if action is not taken. Apart from USA, superbug have also hit Britain, Italy, France and many other developed countries. Exact data for developing countries is not available, and condition can be more worse in developing countries as antibiotics are available as over-the-counter preparation in the poor countries and no second line of treatment is available, and even if it is available it will be costly and unaffordable for the poor and developing countries. These microbes or these superbugs are morphologically similar to their counterpart and they will cause the same disease. However, these drug resistant microbes will be difficult to treat as physicians will have very less options to treat these superbugs. Some of the common superbugs nowadays are NDM1 E. coli, methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus, extended spectrum beta lactamase, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, extended spectrum beta lactamase. So these microbes, they are same as their counterpart, but the only difference is they are resistant to most of the existing antibiotic, and this property separates them from the normal bacteria. This study of molecular surveillance was carried out in India, Pakistan, and United Kingdom. It reported the presence of NDM1 E. coli and Klebsiella pneumoniae. The data was published in Lancet Infectious Disease Journal. This research indicated the extent of threat superbugs are posing to mankind. The NDM1 containing bacteria are resistant to most of the existing antibiotics, and it requires collaborative international effort to tackle the situation. So as shown in this research, India, Pakistan and UK, means developing countries as well as developed countries, both harbor the superbugs, and the world is blaming India for its cheap tourism, or we can say cheap medical tourism, for emergence of superbug. So what is NDM1? It is New Delhi metallo beta lactamase 1. It is a combination of enzymes which confer antimicrobial resistance to the bacteria. Currently, only NDM1 E. coli and NDM1 Klebsiella pneumoniae have been isolated from Delhi. But there are possibility that this NDM1 gene, which is present on plasmid, could be transferred to other pathogenic bacteria like Clostridium tetani or Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So that will pose a even great threat, because this NDM1 confer multi-drug resistance to the bacteria, and it can be screened with the presence of BLA NDM1 gene. By means of PCR, it will give a band, and that can be used as a marker whether the bacteria contains NDM1 gene or not. In this graph, a clear-cut increase in prevalence of BLA NDM1 positive bacteria could be determined, and there is very clear increase in prevalence of NDM1 bacteria from 2003 to 2009. This sharp increase in prevalence of NDM1 containing bacteria is really a cause of worry for World Health Organization. In this study, 44 isolates of NDM1 were found in Chennai, 26 isolates were found in Haryana, 37 isolates in United Kingdom, and 73 isolates in other Indian sites and Pakistan. So it indicates that this superbug is prevalent in India, Pakistan and UK. This NDM was mostly found in E. coli and Klebsiella pneumoniae, which are highly resistant to most of the antibiotic except tigecycline and colistin. Klebsiella pneumoniae isolated from Haryana was clonal, but NDM1 producers from Chennai and United Kingdom were clonally diverse. Most isolates contain NDM1 gene on plasmids. Those from UK and Chennai were readily transferable, while those from Haryana were not conjugative. It indicated a difference. The strains isolated from Haryana will not spread the NDM1 plasmid rapidly, whereas strains from UK and Chennai, they will transfer NDM1 gene rapidly to the other bacteria. Here in this table, we can very clearly see that the proportion susceptibility of NDM1 bacteria to imipenem, cefotaxime, ceftriaxone, aztreonam, ciprofloxacin, gentamicin, tobramycin, amikacin, minocycline ranges between 0% to 8%. So we can say that these bacteria are not susceptible to most of these antibiotic. However, these bacteria exhibit 67% susceptibility to tigecycline and 100% susceptibility to colistin. It indicates that only these two antibiotics are effective against NDM1 bacteria, and other antibiotics are not effective if given for treatment of the disease. So before understanding how antibiotic resistance develops, or we can say how superbug develop, we must understand how antibiotic works. Most of the antibiotics works on the basis of one of the following principles. Either antibiotics will inhibit cell wall synthesis, for example, penicillin, cephalosporin, vancomycin, bacitracin, etc. These antibiotics interfere in the normal cell wall synthesis of bacteria and thus create pores which result in lysis of the bacterial cell. Other mechanisms are inhibition of protein synthesis. Some of the antibiotics, they interfere with the 50S ribosome. For example, erythromycin, chloramphenicol, clindamycin, lincomycin. Whereas some other antibiotics, they interfere with the 30S ribosome. Examples are tetracycline, streptomycin, gentamicin, kanamycin, amikacin, and nitrofuran. Other antibiotics, they disrupt the cell membrane structure of bacteria. For example, polymyxin, daptomycin. Some antibiotics interfere in the DNA replication and transcription process. For example, some antibiotics like nalidixic acid, ciprofloxacin, novobicin, they interfere with the DNA gyrase enzyme and thus inhibiting the DNA replication. Whereas some antibiotics like rifampicin, streptoviricin, they interfere with the mRNA synthesis and thus preventing the transcription process in bacteria. So most of the antibiotics, they interfere in the vital functions such as DNA replication, protein synthesis, etc. There are some antibiotics also which interfere in the important intermediates such as PABA, folic acid. Trimethoprim and sulfonamides are the antibiotics which interfere in the folic acid synthesis from para-aminobenzoic acid, thus inhibiting synthesis of folic acid, which is important for synthesis of purine and pyrimidines in bacteria. So most of the antibiotics work on the vital functions and thus killing bacteria. A bacteria can devise something which will prevent these antibiotics to work on these sites, and that bacteria can escape the effect of antibiotic. So how this antibiotic resistance problem become so humongous? It can be attributed to large gap in innovation of new antibiotic. Here we can see that between 1960s to 2000, very few or no new antibiotic came in the market. So this long gap in innovation of new antibiotics resulted in overuse of existing antibiotics, and that resulted in piling up of the multi-drug resistance problem. It's very interesting to know the bacteria which are resistant to one class of antimicrobials are generally resistant to most of the antimicrobial except few. For example, methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus, vancomycin resistance Enterococcus, extended spectrum beta lactamase E. coli, vancomycin intermediate Staphylococcus aureus, vancomycin resistant Staphylococcus aureus. So by name we can infer that these bacteria are resistant to specific antibiotic, but these bacteria are resistant to many other classes of antibiotics. Multi-drug resistant bacteria of most concern to doctors are Enterococcus faecium, Staphylococcus aureus, Klebsiella pneumoniae, A. boehmei, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, and Enterobacter species. So this form the term escape. With the changing in trend, the Clostridium difficile is also included in this group, and it gives a new term, that is escape. With the increase in prevalence of extended spectrum beta lactamase, these terms are no more in use, and nowadays it is extended spectrum beta lactamase which is used to denote many of the multi-drug resistant bacteria. So how the superbug evolves during course of time. Antibiotics are considered as magic bullet. We can treat anything by using antibiotics. But it will not be the case anymore because bacteria are also fighting back. There are three basic mechanisms how they become superbug. First, their innate ability to resist the antibiotic. Due to presence of genes already in the bacteria, they can resist the antibiotic action. Or second, there can be mutation in the genome or plasmid, and that mutation may confer multi-drug resistance to the bacteria. Third one, they can take up the genes required for antimicrobial resistance from the neighboring bacteria by means of conjugation, transformation, or transduction. By any of the above three means, the bacteria may have the ability to resist the action of antibiotics and may become superbug if it can resist all the existing antibiotics and can send mankind to the pre-antibiotic era where we used to use haldi and neem for treating the bacterial infections. So it become important to decipher that what is the basic mechanism of antimicrobial resistance. Microbes become resistant to antibiotic by various means, and important are enzymatic degradation of antibiotic. Some microbes have inherent property of secreting certain enzymes, for example beta lactamase, and these enzymes cause degradation of antibiotic. For example, beta lactamase will open up the beta lactam ring of penicillin and thus making it ineffective against the microbe. Other enzymes such as NDM1, that is New Delhi metallo beta lactamase, they also degrade antibiotics and thus making these antibiotics ineffective against bacteria. So this is most commonly used mechanism how a microbe become resistant to particular antibiotic. Second mechanism is decreased uptake or accumulation of agent. Due to mutations or due to certain genetic elements, certain bacteria develop efflux pumps, and these efflux pumps selectively pump out the antibiotic which enter in the bacteria. It is important to know that a certain concentration of antibiotic is required to kill the bacteria. If that concentration is not achieved, the antibiotic cannot kill the bacteria. So these efflux pump, they will pump out the antibiotic out of the bacterial cytoplasm and thus making the antibiotic ineffective. Third mechanism is change in target or altered target. The antibiotic bind to specific protein in the bacteria and thus exert its effect. For example, penicillin bind to penicillin binding protein and will inhibit the cell wall synthesis. Certain bacteria have devised a way to change that protein. In case of penicillin, certain bacteria have changed the penicillin binding protein, that is PBP. So the change in the target will cause no binding of antibiotic to the target and thus making the antibiotic ineffective. In certain cases where antibiotic inhibit the protein synthesis, There also the binding of antibiotic to target ribosome is changed due to occupation of that specific site with the bacterial proteins. Fourth important mechanism is impermeability. Certain bacteria have developed a mechanism to decrease the concentration of antimicrobial in the bacterial cytoplasm by decreasing the permeability. So it can be achieved by formation of biofilms, or it can be achieved by accumulation of envelope or some slime material around the bacteria cell wall. So this change in the permeability by decreasing the concentration of antimicrobial inside the cytoplasm make the antibiotic ineffective. Certain bacteria employs combination of above mechanism. It may be possible that bacteria may employ one or more than one mechanism to counter the effect of antimicrobials. So right now we have NDM1 E. coli and NDM1 Klebsiella pneumoniae. But since bacteria in nature are present in heterogeneous population, and it is very much possible that by means of conjugation, transformation or transduction, these antimicrobial resistance genes could be transferred to other pathogens. So a NDM1 Yersinia pestis or NDM1 Corynebacterium diphtheria or any other pathogen may be a catastrophic event in the history of mankind. Here it is important to know that the selective pressure due to excessive antibiotic use everywhere in the livestock, agriculture, etc. may lead to selection of fittest, the bacterium which is resistant to all the antimicrobials. So this selective pressure is giving rise to more and more antibiotic resistant bacteria. So important question is, why antibiotic resistance? Why the situation could not be controlled timely? And the most convincing answer is overuse of antibiotic. Indiscriminate, without prescription, and uncontrolled use of antibiotic for treatment and prophylaxis contribute the major factor. In addition to this, inadequate time period of antibiotic usage, when the antibiotic is not given in sufficient doses, or in cases where biofilm is formed and that result in colonization and low penetration, it leads to low antibiotic concentration and development of antibiotic resistance. Poor hygienic measures are also major contributors. In hospitals, it has been found that poor hand hygiene resulted in most of the nosocomial infections. Exorbitant use of mouthwash, detergent, and antimicrobials is also leading to antibiotic resistance, and use of antibiotic in poultry industry, pig industry, in livestock industry for weight gain or for increased milk production is also contributing to antibiotic resistance, as the bacteria are exposed to low concentration of antibiotic. It makes them resistant to the existing antibiotics. So how to detect the presence of antimicrobial resistance? First, we need to select against which antimicrobial agent we want to examine. Second, which organism group or family we want to screen. Third, what pattern of resistance the local flora has acquired. Fourth, which testing methods we will use. Fifth, what site of infection we are considering. So all these are combined to formulate a theory that what we are looking for, and that will decide the strategy to detect antimicrobial resistance. Different methods can be used for detecting antimicrobial resistance. The conventional methods include broth dilution method, agar dilution method, and disc diffusion method. By means of broth dilution and agar dilution method, we can detect MIC and MBC, that is minimal inhibitory concentration and minimal bactericidal concentration. But by this disk diffusion method, that is also known as Kirby-Borer disk diffusion method, we can only calculate minimal inhibitory concentration, but advantage of disk diffusion method is we can screen a number of antibiotics at a single go. With the advancement in technology, commercial systems are available which can screen a large number of samples in small time. In addition to these, special screens and indicator systems, indicator tests are also becoming available in the market. For example, biosensors or bioscreens, they can be used for instant screening of the antimicrobial resistance gene. Some of these tests, which are also known as automated method of antibiotic resistance detection, are based on real-time PCR. So they are modified real-time PCR or modified multiplex real-time PCR, which can detect antibiotic resistance in very short time. People are also coming up with biochips or biosensors which can detect antibiotic resistance in very less time. So the important question is how to win the battle with superbugs. So for this question, 5 rights are very important, and these are right patient, right drug, right dose, right route, and right time. 90% of all the infections are viral infection, and no antibiotic is required in viral infection. Then also 50% of people take antibiotics in viral infection, and that is unnecessary. So very important thing is right diagnosis, whether it is a bacterial disease or it is a viral disease. If it is a bacterial disease, which antibiotic is most appropriate for this bacteria. Second important thing is strict follow-up of dosing schedule. Adherence to the prescription instruction is very crucial for winning the battle with superbugs. Physicians should change the antibiotic depending on the latest antibiotic resistance data, and mapping of geographical antibiotic resistance profile is also crucial in making the decision or selecting the antibiotic. In addition, public awareness program will play a crucial role in stopping the unnecessary use of antimicrobials. So if these infections, multi-drug resistance infections, they are there in the community, how to control them? So first and very important strategy is prevention of antibiotic resistance. Due to respective mutation rate and gene transfer rates, there is absolutely a global concern over a future inability to treat bacterial infections easily and without toxic side effects. So this new multi-drug resistance elements, particularly NDM1, is concerning because of its possibility for achievement to travel between species and produce superbugs. To prevent this problem, we have to decrease antibiotic resistance problem. And here in developed countries, strategies have been planned out. Antibiotic is given only on prescription. So that has shown in decrease the antibiotic resistance data. But in poor countries, the antibiotic resistance is on a rise because there is no regulation on prescription of antibiotics, and antibiotics are available as over the counter preparation. Second important step is administrative support. The administration or government of any country should support active surveillance culture. In addition, there should be installation of hand washing sinks and alcohol containing hand rub to assist the physicians. Third important factor is education. To provide a behavioral change, education is must. For changing the thinking and for motivating the people for hand hygiene, for antimicrobial prescribing pattern and other outcomes, improving the understanding and developing a culture that support and advance the need behavior were viewed as essential, and that's why education of the public is very important regarding the superbugs. Fourth factor is wisely use of antimicrobial agent. Antimicrobials should be used only when they are required, and they should not be prescribed in viral infections or other non-bacterial infections. Active surveillance culture will definitely play an important role to detect the presence of multi-drug resistance bacteria or superbugs in the community, and development of rapid detection method will detect the microbes at the earliest and will give us sufficient time to control the problem. So what precautions can be taken for controlling infection of superbug? First one is decolonization. The process decolonization is used where the superbug or multi-drug resistance bacteria have colonized the patient. So in that case, decolonization process is adopted. However, it has been found that this process of decolonization is not very effective for treatment of patients. So most of the physicians, they don't go for decolonization of patient. Instead, they go for second option, that is antimicrobial stewardship, and that is that decreasing the antimicrobial use will decrease the occurrence of superbug phenomena. So by following this step, developed countries, they have decreased use of antibiotics, and it has shown positive effect. It has shown a drastic decrease in occurrence of multi-drug resistance bacteria or superbug in developed countries. But in case of developing countries, the condition is exactly opposite. Here, the occurrence of multi-drug resistance bacteria or superbugs, they are on a rise. Most of the antibiotics target one of the three pathways, that is protein synthesis inhibition, cell wall synthesis inhibition, and topoisomerase activity inhibition. Because of emergence of antimicrobial resistance, people are looking for newer antibiotics. So daptomycin is a antibiotic which binds to cell membrane and cause disruption of cell membrane, thus killing the bacteria. So it is important in the cases where the bacteria are resistant to methicillin or vancomycin. Ceftaroline is a fifth generation cephalosporin, and it is different from other cephalosporins in a view that it have high affinity for PBP2A protein. So it binds to PBP2A and inhibit cell wall synthesis. Telavancin is a lipoglycopeptide which is a derivative of vancomycin, and it is also used in treatment of MRSA, skin infections. Doripenem has displayed a broad spectrum of antimicrobial activity against gram-positive as well as gram-negative bacteria, including Pseudomonas aeruginosa. Fidaxomicin is narrow spectrum antibiotic, and it is specifically designed to control the infection of Clostridium difficile. Kibdalomycin has been chosen upon screening with multiple engineered strain of Staphylococcus aureus. So this antibiotic will be very effective in case of MRSA and VRSA, where the methicillin and vancomycin fails. This antibiotic kibdalomycin will work. So here is a list of antibiotics which are in pipeline, which will develop soon and will be in market to treat the problem of multi-drug resistance bacteria. In nutshell, we can summarize that the problem of superbug is very imminent, and if it is not taken care of timely, it may be disastrous for human being. On the other hand, low investment on research of newer antibiotics is pressurizing the companies to exit the antibiotic business. Apart from that, unpredictable authorization also putting pressure on the antibiotic companies. So they are leaving antibiotic market. The bad pathogens, they are breaking the column of hospitals and they are becoming community pathogen. The risk of global spread is alarming, and the favorable control of MDRO can be done by hand hygiene, by contact precautions, by development of active surveillance culture and enhanced environmental cleaning. So it is very important that prevention is better than cure. We have to invent newer antibiotics to kill superbug, but we can also prevent their occurrence by adopting the above four methods, that is hand hygiene, contact precautions, active surveillance culture and enhanced environmental cleaning. We can say that it might be greatest problem human being is facing, but it might not be the toughest. It requires coordinated international action for drug and antimicrobial regulations across human, animals and environment. So the world is facing a crisis, but that can be avoided if timely action is taken. Thank you.